Mr. James Scarlett. We go again.
Hi mate, how are you doing? You okay?
I'm doing pretty well. Loving this. Is that a Road to Massey football
Mate,
shirt?
fuck yeah.
That's nice.
James from Rolo very kindly sent it to me. It's got my name on the back. It's fucking awesome. I love him. It's like a...
Someone said in the last pod when you were talking about the what was the name of the company with the football shirts?
Party FC.
Party FC. They said, I was just watching Gav's face like, I know what's coming next.
I think that was the guy from Party FC that said that, wasn't it?
Where the fuck is mine? Where's mine? But no, I get it. They're playing your festival. It's very nice. Very nice.
mean, I was really touched that they sent this, because obviously to get your surname on the back of the shirt, it's like a 20th anniversary celebration of Rolo as a band, and they've done these football shirts, and yeah, I didn't know it was coming. He just said to me, "What's your address?" And then this turned up. Fucking really nice of him. Really nice.
I can't wait to buy one. Art Tangent, brilliant. How's your week been, mate?
It's good, mate. It's fucking all going on. It is all going on. Just fucking. I'm trying to stop. Every time I say the words "I'm really busy," I hate myself. So I'm trying not to say that, but I'm really fucking busy. The final ATG headliner is in the bag and will be announced next week. That has been a fucking saga and a half, and I'm going to tell everyone about it on next week's podcast. So once you know who the band is, I will tell you about the stories of the many bands I've spoken to, and how this band is a band that I spoke to right at the start in the first week. They told me they weren't available, and eventually I fucking booked them. So it's been a saga, but honestly, I didn't really talk about this much on the podcast or to any of my business partners, but it was getting to the point where I was waking up in the morning and it was the only thing I could think about. So when the confirmation came in, I was fucking happy. Anyway, don't get me started.
You've timed that well, like the professionals we are, and making sure that our 6-month pod plan is all in place and going to be to the schedule we want it. Is we're announcing our headliners on Monday, so next week's podcast we can properly get into a bit like another hattrick of headliners type one.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be a good one. And off the back of that coming in, I've now finished the ATG Clash Finder. I've sent you a copy. I don't know if you've had, without any spoilers, if you've had a chance to have a look at it. Any shockers in there, we'll no doubt talk about.
What it wasn't. I mean, 'cause I think you got off so you done the trees landed so well. And it was like, well, this could be the future. Maybe we get Clash Finders and we don't want to fight the organiser. And then got this one, I was like, I could definitely punch him. I could definitely punch him. There's a couple in here but then that's the Art Tangent's my type of festival. So there's easily 15, 20 clashes. Some of them completely understandable, some of them personal, and you're a bit like, okay, but I can understand them.
I mean, if there's a couple on there where you're like, he's actually lost his mind here, then feel free to send me them, because until it's out to the public, it can still be changed. So feel free to drop me a WhatsApp later. So that's good. That feels like a real it's a real milestone in the year to actually have finished the lineup booking, which you started in April of 2024, and it's now fucking May. 13 months later, all the bands are booked for ATG. Done. Trees, I've got 2 slots remaining, and they are silent disco slots. So I've confirmed 2 absolute beauties for live silent disco at 2000 Trees this year, and there's 2 more to come. So that news should be out soon. I mean, it's been like a lot of news at Trees recently. Anyone who's following our socials, we've announced comedy, food. People love a food announcement, and some kids stuff, and a bunch of other things. So loads going on at 2000 Trees. And the last thing is, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. We're very much focused now on the build. So we're starting to plan. June the 20th is my first day on site. And this is a kind of shout out. If anyone wants to help us, particularly in the breakdown of the festival, if they want to come and see what it's like, want to sit around in the evening, have a barbecue and a beer with us, and just camp on site when the festival's not on, you can email volunteering@2000trees.co.uk. If you also want to do Arc Tangent, you can use the same email address. break down, like, if you're a trees, this is my sales pitch. If you're a trees goer, you could come to trees. I give you permission to do nothing on the Sunday, stay in bed. On the Monday morning, you can come and meet us, and we'll do a couple of days of packing down a festival. And, you know, for that, I don't know exactly what we're going to give, maybe a free ticket to next year. If anyone's interested in that, then volunteering at 2000trees.co.uk. It is fun. Gav, you were there the night before or the day before, weren't you, last year? And it's a good vibe, isn't it? You know, and it's
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't put up a single fence. I didn't clear any bit of trackway, but I certainly cleared a couple of fringes, and it was a brilliant time. It was an absolute brilliant, some vibe. It's a great. I mean, I probably caught that at the perfect moment as well, when everybody's like, "This is it now." Like when tomorrow we open the gates. I mean, it was a great time to be there. It was a real nervous energy, which was great to be around. So I mean, James, you get so many people that emailed, "I want to intern for this. So what experience can I get? What can I do?" And you're like, here you are offering it. Like, sometimes the path into these roles isn't that you're just going to show up the day and be in the headliner's dressing room. It's that you're going to show people that you're a grafter, and that you want to learn about the industry and maybe doing it that way. I mean, I don't know if I ever told the story about Angela. I mean, she was in a but she came into the first Damnation a year, 2 years ago, and I found her in the morning hoovering the dressing rooms, which she wasn't there to do, and then by 2 o'clock at night she was trying to fix a hotel reservation, and I was like, I need to work with this woman. Like, this is exactly what you need. I never asked this woman to hoover a dressing room, and I certainly by the end of the night she could have been left 2 hours ago, and I would have still thanked her for her time. And here she was trying to sort out a hotel reservation. I'm like, this is the people you need in your team. So it's not always like, there is no college or university really to go to that's going to get you part of the Damnation team or the Art Tangent or Trees team. But fuck, show up and show that you're somebody you can't let go. Then that's the way you can find yourself in a position that you've been asking over email that sometimes just get ignored or overlooked because there's a billion of them.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to work in the industry, it's genuinely fun. Like, to set up or pack down your favourite festival is quite a unique way of seeing it. So, yeah, the opportunity is there. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about is a couple of bits of festival news that are out there. So, I mean, I feel that we need to talk about the Download app. So I was first alerted to this being a potential story when we announced our food traders, and someone wrote on the 2000 Trees Facebook a comment saying, bragging about your shiny new app after the nightmare download I've had today is tremendous. So I was like, oh, Download have had a nightmare with their app, have they? I'll go and have a look. So I went over to the Download Facebook page, and they've just launched their new app and the Clash Finder and Stage Times. And you're going through the comments, and there's lots of comments like, this is Download doing Download things, Download strikes again. There's people being really arsey about it, but I just couldn't let the podcast pass without reading this one comment, which I think encapsulates everything about social media you need to know. This person said, the biggest shit show known to man has already started. You can't even get an app to work on time, you fucking useless, overhyped cunts. The worst festival in the whole of Europe, bar none.
I have no context for this whatsoever. So you sent me that screenshot. I thought they were talking about you. No. I thought it was something you tried to download, launch on your app for Art Tangent or whatever, and that's been it for a bit. I just thought something had happened and they were having a go at you, but that was Download.
Yeah, I mean, people take themselves very fucking seriously, don't they?
I mean, fuck, the apps didn't even exist about 5 years ago, and it's like you're the worst festival in Europe if it's not released perfectly in time for free to your hand. People are the fucking worst.
I would remind people that at the end of the day, the Download Festival and every other festival is being run by actual humans sat in a room trying their best to make an app. So although I thought that comment was hilarious, it is just a bit like head in hands hilarious.
Honestly, this is how much I missed the context of that. When you sent across the notes and it said the Download app, I thought you were going to have a plug for Meliora. I thought you were like, right, everybody remember to download the app. No, but I completely missed that altogether. It was about Download Festival.
It was. Well, while we're on it, everyone should remember to download the app because the 2000 Trees Clash Finder is out there and has been added to quite a lot recently. Some kid stuff on there, some comedy stuff on there. So you can presumably I should know this. Is Two Promoters One Pod on there now? Fuck knows, but we still clash with Employed to Serve. In fact, on that note, Gav, I'm gonna take you to Employed to Serve to watch they start 15 minutes before us.
Listen, here's the thing. So you've got as well like 50 minutes in the pod, right? And then you get Electric Wizard. You've got Employed to Serve starting, right? And there's like 15 or 20 minutes before we start. And then after it, there's this wee weird gap where nothing's happening for 5 minutes. So we could take 5 minutes off the set, go from 50 minutes to 45 minutes, bump ourselves up, so then we just go into, because we're not clashing with anything else in that mids, you've just done that 5 minute thing because that's something you guys do, and then you would have like 25 minutes Employed to Serve, and then the final 20 minutes would be us, and a lot of people at that point like, aye, okay, I've heard my hits, now I'm going to go see Two Promoters One Pod.
I mean, out of respect for you, Gav, I've let you finish your sentence there. You're the only person in the world that can talk to me about my stage times in Clash Finder that I will let get to the end of that absolutely farcical sentence.
Hey, you're going to look at that, you're going to sit there, I know you have to put the big bravado in front of the people, but you're going to look at it and go, that makes total fucking sense, Gav.
You want the big fucking banner up, won't you? You want the big banner up, which means you've got to take the banner down before the next act comes on. It's not.
We don't have what act! What's happening in the mod stage? The kid's going to bring out the plasticine.
It's another podcast. You can't just be like, okay, we've got rid of the gap, sorry. Anyway, I'm going to take you. When we're all nervous, I'm going to take you in my buggy to watch Employed to Serve. We'll watch it, and then we'll run, and then we'll bomb it in the buggy. And we'll literally turn up as we're due to go on. It'll be fine. Anyway.
That'll be fine.
So the good folks at Meryll have done a fantastic job on the Trees app, I think, and so people should just download it, go and have a look. And same with Arctangent. The Clash Finder is coming. I'm not going to give you a date because it'll end up changing, but it's soon. So yeah, thanks to Meryll. And if there are any festivals out there that need an app that actually works, rather than people calling them fucking useless, overhyped cunts, like what happened, presumably Download didn't use Meryll. If anyone would like an app, then they should give us or Darren at Meryll a shout, and we'll make it happen.
Happy to facilitate that meeting. Just when you're saying about the people on, this episode will be a chat with Meryl Streek. Ultimately, when we get to it, we've already had that chat. We will introduce that by the end of this opening segment, and it was brilliant. But it just reminded me, you said about people who forget that there's people at the other side. It said Meryl Streek was announced for Damnation, and some guy called Danny showed up and said, "Whoever made this booking should be fired." and you know, like people who make that point, especially on the main accounts, less so on the groups, are definitely, Danny's never been to Damnation and has no intention. Danny probably lives in fucking Germany and he's no coming to Damnation, never been, and he shouts from Into Clouds, book Demolition Hammer to headline or whatever the band that he's a fucking bassist in to play. He's one of the guys, if you book Butcher Killer but she's a bassist in, then I'll definitely come to Damnation. I fucking bet you would, because it'd be free, you prick. So, people on the internet are just fucking these random outbursts. You know, like Meryl Streek, even if you hate that music, is going to clash with some fucking black metal or death metal or grindcore. And if we put a grindcore in Meryl Streek's slot, you would call me a prick and I should be fired because you got two bands you like clashing. So, fuck off, Danny.
Danny definitely comes. He's gone to the effort of listening to Meryl Streek, I think. So, but yeah. Danny did make me smile. Okay, here's my last bit of news. You don't know about this, Gav, and it's from Portals Festival, and it came out. We've already recorded the Meryl Streek interview, and it came out just before that. So I literally came on the podcast and saw this. So I'm just going to read it out to you, and then we'll see what we think. So Portals Festival, just to remind everyone, is an indoor festival in London. It's about 1,200 cap. It is run by some of the staff members from Arctangent, or people that were sort of have worked in various roles at ATG, and are friends of mine. And yeah, it's been going since I can't remember, 2017, I think. So here's the statement. Portals Festival 2025 will be the last Portals Festival in its current form. Portals is a passion project and a labour of love. We've poured our hearts and souls into the festival since 2017, when we conceived the idea and have made the difficult decision that 25 will be the last time for the foreseeable future the festival will be in its current format. We as individuals do not pay ourselves for our work towards portals. We have full-time jobs elsewhere. The thousands of hours we pour into the event each year are voluntary. We always pay our freelancers and artists and suppliers a fair rate for their services, and we have strived to keep ticket prices affordable. However, the current state of the events industry, price increases, uncertainty on ticket sales, lack of support from the government, and ultimately the financial risk of putting on an event of this size has brought us to the point where the festival is not financially viable in its current form. I'm just saying, it's quite a long statement. I don't want to go on too long. It finishes by saying our first Portal show was a small all-dayer in a pub in 2015. We never in a million years thought we would be able to grow to a 1,200 capacity festival with performers from some of our favourite bands of all time. So, yeah. It's in the Arctangent world, that's quite big news, I think.
Yeah. I mean, in my personal world, I suppose it's quite. I was. What day are we today? It's this Wednesday. So on Saturday or Sunday, I was lying in the back garden listening to the Portals playlist because I'd wiped out, people listening to this podcast, my wife went in for back surgery and I'd sort of wiped out 2 months of my calendar just to be here and make sure that she was recovering. She is recovering. So I'm a bit like, I'd love to get to Dunk or Portals. I'd love to get out and go and see it. So Dunk seems like a bit far-fetched. So I thought, I wonder if I could get down to Portals. I think it'd be easy this weekend coming. And I sat out the back and listened to the playlist, and some great band like I Hear Sirens were a band I didn't know a lot about, absolutely fantastic. Julie Christmas headline, for anyone who's listening to this podcast, you'll know I've got an obsession with Julie Christmas, absolutely fucking love everything she does. Foxing headlining, another outstanding band. So I mean, if it'd been anywhere but London, I mean, it takes everything to get me to London to go to a show. I mean, I need to be paid to go on stage in London for me to get there. So I was a bit like, I'm going to see, and then I kind of eventually talked myself out of it. But the lineup was great, right up my street. So it was just sad to hear that. Sad to hear that it's just everything's expensive as fuck. These bands, I don't want to blame the bands because the bands are expensive because everything else is expensive for them. All their flight, their travel, petrol, drivers, everyone, crew, everything's expensive. And the bands that likely aren't pulling 1,200 people to this event that they need aren't doing that, but still need to get paid the money of bands that do. And then the finances don't add up. I've had it myself. We've done that year with 2023. I mean, fucking paid big money for bands that didn't do the business, and then you're sitting there. I managed to get through that year, but if I do that, I mean, it sounds like they haven't made money from portals. You can't. How long can you sustain that? I mean, the chances are they're maybe losing money this year, and that's a tough pill to swallow. You get to some passion project or not, you get to the other side of it, and you're sitting going, "Oh, buy maybe a couple of grand each out of pocket for something we've just put blood, sweat, and tears into." And as great as that day is, and I've done that as well, I've had the day 2009 watching the band is playing, enjoy it, still knowing I've lost 13 grand. And it's, if they had been more regular than the only 2 times it's ever happened in Damnation's history, I would be making the same statement as Portals are making now. So I'm sad to hear that. It's that's why there's not a lot of us out there doing this, and not a lot of us have managed to do it for a long time. It's not fucking easy. And the risks are large, and if you get away with anything, if you can pay yourself a small salary at the other end of it, even as big as Damnation would be in some people's eyes, then you're doing well. And by this point in our fucking industry, 20 years in with the brand that Damnation's got, you'd think you'd be making hundreds of thousands a year. I mean, if this was a clothing company or fucking anything else, you'd be like, oh, Damnation's secure. They go and sell that business for millions, and you're still every year starting off with shit, look where that break-even line is, and it's high, and it will have been high for Portals, and I'm sad to hear that this. I hope they have if it's this weekend, is it that, if it is, and you're in London, and you can get there, go, buy a ticket, go and support them. Let's see if we can salvage something because it sounds like they might be open to the idea of maybe doing something smaller again. Like when they say in this current format, maybe they'll go back to sort of all day again somewhere in a pub where the overheads aren't astronomical and they don't need to go and pay the big money to fly bands in, and you can go and catch a lot of great post-rock and sort of left field music in London, because you don't want to lose the event completely. So that is the first time I heard I never caught that before we started an interview with Meryl Streek. So I fucking hate hearing about events collapsing, especially ones that are organised well with good people behind them.
Yeah, I think the challenge for me, my assessment of it would be that when you've got bands like, so I tried to book Foxing or on the Portals lineup. I tried to book Foxing this year, and we couldn't agree money because I thought they wanted too much money. Obviously, I've had Julie Christmas, and there's a bunch of acts they've got on their lineup which are from outside the UK. And you know, if you book a Japanese act, it's just expensive, right? So trying to work out whether or not those acts are worth the money is really tricky. But it doesn't matter if you're Arctangent or Portals or Damnation or whoever, you exhaust the UK scene pretty quickly if you go for a period of years. So obviously, until Jim Mafar will come back to Arctangent again in the future, but you can't book those bands every year. You can't book Delta Sleep every year. So trying to find something fresh, you have to go elsewhere. And I mean, Brexit and COVID and changes to visa rules and stuff have not helped in this regard.
Reopening Alcatraz.
With the reopening of Alcatraz has been an issue. They have not, these things have not made running a festival easy. So I look at their lineup and I'm like, I could wager a guess at how much that's cost them, and it's a lot. So yeah, look, I just send big love to all of them. The guys that I know, I'm sure I'll see them at Trees and or ATG. It's a real shame. So
yeah, and I've always had the listen. You're a fan, you're a ticket buyer, you're a consumer if you want to look at it that way. And you have got every right to go or not go to these things, and I've never made a demand and you should support Damnation. At the end of the day, it's up to me as a promoter to put on a product that you are wanting to part with your money from. But see, if you have been sitting on their forums or their groups like me saying, book Mouse and the Keys, book Foxing, and I'll be there, book Foxing, we'll sell that out. And then they've booked Foxing and you've no bothered your arse, then you're part of the problem. You know what I mean? It's like, we get a lot of that. I've always found in the death metal scene, where it was like, book this band. I made that joke about Demolition. Book this band, will come. And then you book some of those bands, you look at across the crowd and they're like, this is not the reality of what it was getting shouted about online. And these people are playing with your money and your livelihood when they're going on and just shouting, I will definitely come. And that does happen. I'm not blaming the fans for this. At the end of the day, it's still the promoter's responsibility to make sure that you have to be there. But there's certainly going to be some folk out there that have been onto those promoters saying, book these bands and I'll definitely come with my pals, who are not there.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Yeah,
support your favourite festivals, people. So, Gav, what's been going on in your week? Anything?
My weekly waffle. Do you know what? I'm in full. I suppose this is a podcast exclusive then, because I haven't put this out on the phone. Because I feel like every time I post to say something's going to happen, it doesn't even matter if it's all feels like signed, sealed, and delivered. Just something comes up and just completely fucking ruins it. Feels like every day. I've got this cracking booking, it gets cancelled. I've got this cracking announcement. One of the bands come back and say they need a fucking logo change, or they weren't confirmed for that support like they thought they had, so can it come off the poster? And just time after time after time. So I've just got to the point of not shouting about it as readily as I would have beforehand, which I think Paul's celebrating because he's fucking fed up with me going onto the internet and saying, we're going to do this fucking amazing thing on Wednesday. And it turns out it happens a month later. But here I am on the podcast. You listen to this, I suppose you deserve a bit of deeper insight into my fucking mind. So Monday night, 7 PM, we're hoping to announce, I don't know, about 5, 6, maybe 7 bands, including a couple of headliners. Everything is gearing up towards that, and then the big promo push after that. So that's where I'm at.
Is the artwork approved, Gav? Have we had the artwork signed off, mate?
It's not. The artwork is not signed off. I've got an annoying one at the minute. This is another sort of knock-on effect. You've got a band playing who will be touring, and they've got a support, and the other agent, when the good agents get in touch with you instantly to say, can I get my band on that spot? And the answer is definite, because they're absolutely fucking great and everyone at Damnation is going to love them. So now I'm like, can we put this band logo on it? It's like, we've been told we're getting it, but we've not been told confirmed we're getting it. So then you're stuck now, because in a transparent and open bit, you could just ask the headline agent, couldn't you? I mean, I could just go and say, listen, I understand this band's playing, are you going to give them? But that's not my position to do that, because whatever the dynamics are here, but this deal's got nothing to do with me. So I'm sitting here going, can we put this band in the poster or not put this band in the poster? Because it works for me. It would work for you as a headline band because they're going to be announced. It's with this anyway, and it definitely works for the agent with the support band. But you're just kind of stuck in this limbo. So at the minute, you're almost like, even if everything does get signed off, you're like a plan A, plan B poster, because you really want the plan B poster when it goes out, but the plan A might be the only one that goes out because I know someone hasn't bothered replying to an email. They're just going to get to it, and you're stuck in the middle as the organizer. So the artwork is not approved as of yet, but we will work. I'll get Bry, once the poor bastard gets this podcast tonight, I'll ask him to start getting these logos into shape, and then we will go for there. But the slog headliners this year, must be, was this 25th anniversary, the worst year of trying to go through this dance. I mean, yeah, you got a Baroness poster behind you there. I think there's still a conversation somewhere happening about whether Baroness are still playing, or could possibly be playing. You know what I mean? It's like you're just some bands just disappeared. You mentioned previously about the whole, when you have a conversation and it's positive and friendly, but you don't know if it's going anywhere. I had more of them this year than I've ever had in my life, and there was a lot of just unavailability that almost none of it came down to cash, because this was the year I was like, I'm just going to spend big if I need to spend big. We're going to go all the chips, stop being a fucking coward, all in, Gav, let's do it. And nothing was about money for this year. It was all about being unavailable or being ridiculous or just no answering fucking emails.
Yeah. It's frustrating, mate. The old headliner dance.
And hence this podcast, I suppose. So, that's my week. The Patreon has been going swimmingly. So please, everyone, keep up on that. We got Rob Gange, who I made a stab at being 50 or 60. Turns out he was 50. He doesn't, I assume because he says hi, Gav, I don't know if it's because he knows I'm the only person monitoring the Patreon, or if it's because he's referring to Damnation. But he says, I'm going to push my luck in this one, but I'll give it a go. Could I please ask for either backstage passes to watch a set song from the side of the stage for me and my two mates? We've already got tickets. Cheers, Rob. I assume that's for Damnation.
Happy days. The answer's yes. Fucking whatever you want.
So what he's been, could I please ask for either backstage passes or to watch one song? So can he get backstage passes for the whole fucking time, or can he get up on stage with his pals to watch one of his bands? The answer to this, Rob, being you, mate, is I am going to look into that. I can't do triple A's. I can't just hand you and mates and them that gets on the Patreon access all area pass to walk onto the stage when Death Heaven's drummer's playing. But I will look into it. If you tell me the bands you want to go on the stage with your two pals to watch, I will look into how realistic that'll be, and we'll go from there. So the answer is yes, a provisional yes, but bands do have the right to close the stage. I mean, I believe Cradle of Filth closed the stage last year when they played, so if they close the stage, technically I shouldn't even be there. So if one of those bands are your favourite and they say that's not an option, then it's not an option. But there's plenty of bands who probably wouldn't mind having a couple of people at the side of the stage watching them. So let me know. The answer's yes, Rob. Let me know and we'll take it from there.
I've ever told you about my the various embarrassing things that have happened to us with closed stages at our festivals? So have we talked about it?
Maybe. Let's hear it again.
I mean, there's loads of examples. Like Brendan, one of the Trees owners, nearly knocked out Nothing But Thieves tour manager because they closed the stage, and Brendan's like, well, you're basically at my fucking house, so get out of my fucking way. You don't get to close the stage to me. And I did it. Me and Miles put on Code and Cambria in Bristol, and I was like, you can't fucking close the stage. I'm just going to go and stand by the guitar tech. And as soon as I got there, the guitar tech got his phone out and he started sending a text. 2 minutes later, the tour manager just came over and was like, mate, you can't stand there. And I find that really fucking annoying when you're in charge, and particularly when it's a festival. And the worst thing that ever happened to me was, this is really embarrassing. I got up onto the back of the stage for Creeper. They were second from top at the main stage at Trees. Have I told this story before?
I don't think so.
And
you climbing up on stage at your own events, making tickling me.
And the stage manager who works for me comes over to me and he's like, just so you know, it's a closed stage. You can't go over that side. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean it's a closed stage? I can go over there if I want to. And he's like, no, you can't go over there. And they put this rope across, Creeper had. And I was like, why is it closed? And he's like, I don't know, but it's closed. And I was just like, fuck you. I'm fucking going over there because it's my festival. I can go and stand wherever I want. You can't tell me. I wish he'd known why it was closed, because that would have saved a lot of embarrassment. Because there's a lady in that band who was doing a change between songs. So
you haven't told me this story before.
She was in a costume change on the back of the stage, and that's why they closed it. No fucker told me, and I kind of waded in like an oaf, and the tour manager fucking gave me a bollocking, and he told me why it was closed. And I was like, I'm really, really sorry. I shouldn't be here. And it's just like, it's horrible.
This is, but you almost end up with fucking sex offenders list at your own festival. Just stand where you're told to stand, James, and let the ego go elsewhere. This is the benefit of not being a stage dweller or a stage tourist, as Marios calls them.
You're really not, are you? You're really not.
I don't know. It's sort of ingrained in me that I didn't do it as a fan, and then I don't. I mean, I went up to. I will be. I went up to the side of the stage at Tangent to see Holy Fawn, because I think we came out. Was that the Boss tour bus? Was that the same year? Well, we went up there anyway, and it was closest. And I was like, "Oh, this is great." And at Converge, I had a few drinks. Being like, with hardcore bands, I'm less of, it's going to be, I mean, fuck, you ever seen some of the pictures of Outbreak and Northern Unrest this weekend? I mean, half the fucking crowd's on the side of the stage. They just don't mind. But otherwise, I'm a bit like, I don't know, still get a wee bit of that Glaswegian, who the fuck's this prick king is? You know what I mean? Standing up side stage. So, and I don't often at Damnation, if ever. I mean, I maybe nip up to get a photograph, but no, I'm never into, say, that balcony's the best fucking view at Damnation, so I just stand there. But that's... You've been... No, I will go over that rope if I need to.
Even though I don't actually need to be there, because you've told me I can't. I'm fucking going.
Yeah, big fanny. So, okay, before we introduce Meryl Streek, we are going to shout our good friends at Eyesore Merch, who blasted through their $100 target, or my $100 target. They never said anything. I just wanted to make sure that our sponsorship deal was worth the dosh. 100 orders put in. Well done to everyone for supporting that. It's not a difficult company to support. As I say, I check before we do the podcast every week. They've got a new section, and every week the new section's another 3 pages worth of goodies. I mean, if you want to pre-order vinyl, or you're looking for limited edition variants of represses, they've got Vader, Youngblood, Electric Wizard, Sabbath, Pearl Jam, all there. They've got a sales section which I've never clicked on before as well, and they've got like clutch long sleeves for £13, revocation shirts on there, and to my surprise, for $4.99 there's a Damnation 2018 shirt, which I now remember them taking a box away for us at the time. Only available in small for that shirt, so if you want a £5 Damnation shirt for 2018 and you can fit it in a small, go and get it. The sale section clearly is limited availability in sizes, so don't click in there expecting to be able to get smalls and triple XLs and everything. But for what I could see, there was a lot of availability in a lot of sizes. So have a rake through there, get yourself a £13 clutch long sleeve, then use pod 10 at the site Eyesore Merch, EYESORE merch.com, and let's keep these orders coming.
Fantastic stuff. Shall we invite our mate Meryl Streek in?
Now, the happiest man in Ireland, singing about flowers, poetry, and his favourite type of biscuits, Mr. Meryl Streek. And welcoming to the podcast, Mr. Meryl Streek. We thought that after all that heartache and pain with Kneecap and Irishman over the last couple of weeks, we'd have a nice easy topic, some fun with such a smiley man.
What's up, lads? Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all, mate. No problem at all. If you're coming to this podcast for the first time, either this is your first episode with Two Promoters One Pod, or maybe you've never heard of Meryl Streek, tell us a bit about you, the background, how you came to be.
So I was a drummer for 15 years. About 3 years ago, I decided to make a highly political, moving album about some dark cases hidden within Ireland, about the Catholic Church and the government and the housing crisis. And the idea was just to call everyone a prick and then run away, but it's kind of blown up a little bit, so I have to stand by it now. So I'm 3 years in and still busy, which is good.
Absolutely. So, how would you describe yourself? Is it punk? Is that work for you? Avant-garde punk's the term that kind of gets talked about. You happy with that?
Yeah, well, no, I'm not really happy with anything, Gav, to be honest with you. Like, I have to go with it, you know. But I remember when I first signed with the record label, Lags was like, "Well, what are you?" Do you know what I mean? And I just said it's punk, and he was like, "Yeah, but it's a different avenue of punk." And I was like, "Yeah, I agree, but it's also punk." Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's angry, it's sending a message. So in my mind, it's punk, you know.
Yeah, and why it's sort of timiest for you to be here on the pod at this point is you're in this weird spot this year that you're doing all three of our festivals. I was thinking about this last night. There's a couple of bands, Roll to Massey, maybe she will, Harriet, maybe, that played all three of our events, but I don't think ever in the same year. You are doing Trees, then Art Tangent, then Damnation. So tell us for your side, the artist, the other side going through it, how was that for you?
You're going to be drinking a coffee next week, Av, and I'll be out your back garden playing as well. You know, I'm not going to disappear. It's great, man. It's unbelievable to get all three festivals, and I have you lads to thank for that. You know, it's but again, it goes back to like touring with Public Image Limited and Kneecap and Dead Kennedys and Bob Fillin and Enter Shikari. It kind of shows the diversity of this set in a way. Do you know what I mean? Where it can kind of slot in anywhere, and I think I can win over the metalheads when they see me live and they see the anger and stuff, and then it goes back. It can kind of fit in anywhere. So it's been a weird 3 years kind of discovering that as well, you know?
Well, there was a question actually from a listener, Tom Redmond, who was asking if you had any trepidation about playing at what is essentially an extreme metal festival in Damnation, or have you thought about that at all?
I love it, James. I love it. Like, I love winding people up. Do you know what I mean? And if there's 1,000 metalheads wearing Cradle of Filth hoodies in that tent, I can't fucking wait. Can't wait. So no pressure on my end. And you know what, man? It even makes it better, man, if they don't want to see me, because I'll get closer. You know. So no, I love it, man.
I think it's a very open-minded crowd, so there's not going to be an issue at any of the three festivals. But
of course.
It's an interesting. There's a big jump from Trees to Damnation. It's like a kind of chasm musically.
It is. It's completely different. But no, I'm really looking forward to it, man. And like, even I think, James, for me, just like, I don't know, seeing my name beside Melvin's is quite a touching moment for me. I have an obsession with your man Buzz, you know what I mean? So seeing that was definitely a highlight for me this year, you know. And yeah, I like the challenge, man, of seeing if I can win people over. When I was playing with Pill every night for 4 weeks, it was like, I found myself after the second or third gig realising that this crowd were just, half of them at least were like, this guy's a fucking dickhead. But at the end of it, James, then I realised that I'd won them all over. Do you know what I mean? So it's something weird that I get from it, you know? There's always one massive guy in the crowd with a mohawk and a face tattoo, and I'm convinced he wants to kill me. But he's always the guy that comes up at the end with tears in his eyes, saying that I've moved him in some way that he never knew was possible. And that's the thing with Meryl Streek that really... it's just interesting, you know, to see how kind of far you can push people and open up doors that they didn't know. Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, how did the Pill tour go? Was it? I mean, how did that even come about? I mean, tell us about it, because it's got to be some stories there somewhere.
Yeah, so it's I hope this is okay to tell, but my booker at the time, Pill announced the tour, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get Pill. There's just no way. But I had a bit of a tantrum, and I fired my booker, and then I rehired him within about 25 minutes, and then he got me the Pill tour, you know what I mean? So I was like, always on my mind, it was like, if that didn't happen, would I have gotten Pill? But I got it, man, and I was apparently one of the only bands in the last 30 years to get a support tour with Pill that wouldn't be someone like, you know, the Selector or Badman or something like that, you know, the higher scale. So yeah, it was really my booker. We had the same booker, and that came through. And Rambo, John's manager at the time, just loved it. And kind of word went through the camp, and I was invited onto the tour. But I was invited on for a really unique, I thought was really cool. A cool reason that it was like they got me to literally ruffle feathers in the crowd, because they knew there was going to be people there who wouldn't believe in what I was saying. So it was kind of an experiment to kind of wind people up. But it worked, man. It really did work, you know. There was a lot of people there that I just won over, and... But there was also, man, I nearly got into a fist fight as well a couple of times at the gigs. I nearly hit someone with a microphone as well that was going for me in the crowd. So I mean, like, I was up against it, and I felt a lot of stress from it. But it was also, again, going back to things being a challenge.
That's incredible.
You know?
Go on, you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. When you're sorry, James. You see, we're terrible when there's more than three people in here. On you go, James. The floor is yours.
There's no training school for three-way Zoom calls, is there? It's fucking impossible. But, I mean, did you get the sense that Pill, and I guess in particular, like John Lydon, were actually watching you or interested, or they were engaged with you as their support act? Because that can vary, can't it? Sometimes bands don't even know.
Oh, completely. Oh, James, I've played with bands before. Like, I've done gigs with Liam Gallagher and all that back in the day when I was a drummer and stuff, and we've had mad stories, you know. But Pill was a very weird one. On the first day of the tour, I got given little rundown of brief instructions that I wouldn't generally abide by, that I had to, you know, call him Mr. Lydon and shit. I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that, you know. So 2 days went by, and I was just, I was walking by him in the corridor with my contacts in. I didn't speak to him, he didn't speak to me. And then after 2 days, he came into my dressing room, and he just waltzed in with, like, pear juice that he was blending up in a fucking blender, and he was like, Meryl, my angry Irish friend, would you like some pear juice? And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. So we sat down, and his first line to me was, Meryl, I hear you don't like egos. And I went, no, I fucking hate them. And from that moment on, we actually got on really well, you know, really well. Yeah. And the lads were watching me, they were all really interested in it. Like Lou as well, that played in The Damned, he was just like, how are you fucking doing this? You're capturing everyone's attention in that venue with just a microphone and a bunch of roses, you know? Like, you could hear a pin drop at those gigs, but it was good. I felt it in my heart, man, that I was touching these fuckers, you know?
Incredible.
And is that, you mentioned a few times about the whole, getting out there on the challenge and winding people up. No, but I mean, I assume when you go to your own headline shows and you know that everyone's there to see you, you also enjoy when people enjoyed your music.
Oh, absolutely.
And be part of it.
Absolutely, Gav. Yeah, like, honestly, man, the littlest things for me, man, is the reason why I do this. Like, I'm starting to teach local kids in the area here how to make beats and how to rap and stuff, and you know, that's kind of why I want to do it, man. I always want to give back in a certain way, you know, and if I ever had the power that some of these fuckers on the circuit have that don't use it, I would be using it to, you know, to do some good and give back, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start at the start then. Introductions. I told this story briefly when I first came across you on the podcast. I mean, are you a podcaster? Have you been in and out since you were first mentioned? You listen to the podcast sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to thank Lags from that. Lags sends me shit straight away. Do you know what I mean? But I do listen. Yeah.
As soon as you're mentioned, it's like
straight away. He must have the subscription. I'm telling you.
So, I mean, about this point last year, it was about now, I went to fucking Tenerife with my wife for 3 days, with the one goal of lying at the side of the pool and only listening to new music. Not going out here and just fucking doing Mariner by Cult Luna and an Amun Ra album again. Only new music. So James had recommended Spanish love songs. People had talked about soft play. I had a friend, Andy, who'd went to see you at the Stereo in Glasgow.
Okay.
Said, oh, mad Irish guy fucking shouting about landlords. And so I went across armed with, I don't know, 5 or 10 new bands. Like some, didn't mean I totally fell in love with Spanish love songs. Soft play was about like a couple of good tunes, other stuff I'm not that interested in. And then come across your debut album, and it's like, fuck me, man. I mean, anyone who's listened to that for the first time, but not as a recommendation where you're in a party with pals, not as it's at a barbecue playing, not as it's like you've heard it in a fucking shopping mall in the background, like literally earbuds in, side of the pool, nothing else going on in your life, no distractions, and it fucking hit me like a 10-ton hammer, because you're going through it and you get like, okay, this is heavy shit that's going on with what you're singing about with the whole situation with the Catholic culture in Ireland. And then from that, drinking problems, the track Demon, and then Suicide, and then finishing ultimately with the track to you about your dad who passed. Mm-hmm. And at the end, I didn't realise I was crying at that point, and I'm not much of a crier, to be honest. And that one was like, fucking hell, to my wife, I'm crying, this fucking mad bastard's got me crying the first time I've listened to this. And I was like, I've never done this before either. I don't really get in touch with artists. I don't talk to the artists. So I'm going to send this guy. I mean, I didn't know at that point whether you were a million streams and fucking huge in Ireland and Japan, or if you were kicking out. And I had no idea what was going on. I sent you a message. Listen, mate, that was fucking unreal. I was in tears, behind it. And then by the time you sent back, you were like, mate, I've looked up who you are, and this booking sounds great, forever spot at Damnation, then go. And then we've just gone from there to where we are today. You come to play Damnation. So do you recall that?
I remember very well. I think you said to me that, you told me that you were crying under your sunglasses, and you also said that it just caught you off by surprise. But Gav, the funny thing is, the first time I ever used my voice as a singer, I was a drummer, do you know what I mean? The first time I ever used my voice was recording that album, do you know what I mean? There was no prep, I just wrote out all the fucking words and I went in and we just done it in a couple of days kind of thing, you know? But it was like, when I started listening to those songs back, I was taken back because it hit me as well, because I couldn't understand that it was my voice, so it was a really weird thing. And yeah, it was just really strange, man, how it's been growing for the last 3 years, really.
Okay, it was a couple. I want to talk about a couple of those songs. This is a weird one as a podcast, because we're not here to ask you about what's the inspiration for your music and where'd you get it. So that music journalists doing that. We're here to ask you about how did you feel screwed over about a booking fee, or where did you get fucked over when the backline wasn't ready for a set. But I'm in an unusual position that I haven't read that much about the inspiration of a lot of your stuff, so we will get to that through some of the fan questions.
Of course.
But James, your introduction to Meryl was a bit different.
I thought it would be quite interesting for the listeners and Meryl to hear how I heard about you. So I look back in my emails, and because it kind of shows you how the bookings happen at festivals. And in September of 2022, you've mentioned Lags a couple of times. We should probably tell everyone that Lags runs your record label, Ven Records. Lags is also from the band Gallows. So he sent a pitch to Matt, who works for me, with a bunch of bands on it, and you were in there. And I hope you don't mind me telling you what he said about you, but his two quotes that I pulled out was that it was Ireland's answer to Grey Britain, which is that's big words, because that's the guy who wrote Grey Britain. Yeah. So that's pretty good. And he also said it gives him the same goosebumps as when he first heard Bob Vylan. So it's kind of a pitch that actually got my attention. And then in February of 2023, the agent started pushing me to book you as well. So weirdly, I don't actually know why, because I can't access the memories, but you didn't play 2000 Trees in 2023. It wasn't until November 23, after a couple of more nudges from Lags and Matt and the agent, that I actually got my finger out and made the offer. So it just shows you, I think, if you're an artist listening to this or even a fan, how long these things can take. It was over a year from when people were first saying we should book you to when we actually booked you, and there was still another 8 or 9 months until you actually played at 2000 Trees. And even then, it feels like to have you here today is quite a nice story, because me and Gav watched a few bands at 2000 Trees together last year, but not millions and millions. And we stood together with Lags and with Matt, like all the people that had originally been bugging me to book you, and we all watched you in the new stage at Trees, and everyone loved it. Obviously, Gav really loved it. It's just quite a nice. It's quite a nice way of telling people how these things come about. And then, so I was interested to hear how did it go at Trees last year? How did you feel about it?
James, Trees was unbelievable. Do you know what? And I still tell the same story in basically any podcast I do, and it happened at Trees. I was stood watching a band, and it was the day after I played, and I was just stood there, whatever, drinking a coffee, watching a band, and this guy came up to me. He had one kid on his shoulders and one kid in his left hand, and he walked up to me and he just said, "I can't talk to you, mate. I just want to let you know that you saved my life." And he grabbed my wrist and he had tears in his eyes, you know what I mean? And it was one of those moments where I went, holy fuck, wow, that's mad, you know what I mean? Trees was unbelievable, man. Even the staff came up to me saying that we've never seen that, you know? Like, Trees was definitely one of those moments. And also, it was just such a nice atmosphere, because I was surrounded by, like, the Menstrual Cramps and Other Half and Problem Pattern. So it was just a really great buzz, and the crowd loved it, man. And they were there for it, you know, which is great. I just got stopped so many times, James. And I think Trees last year really was, it was a really big
That's
highlight
wicked.
for me.
And this year, you're, I don't know if people actually know this, but you're playing the smallest stage and the biggest stage. So, like, Wednesday playing... Yeah. It'll be a real packed sort of punk rock feeling atmosphere, I think Wednesday will. And then Thursday morning, you're on the main stage.
Yeah, gonna scare the shit out of a few people, yeah.
Which one of those sets are you looking forward to the most, do you think?
Well, the main stage, of course. because I it's just going to be a challenge. But again, man, I've surprised myself. The bigger stages, man, they do kind of make me a little bit anxious, but at the same time, man, I just, you know what I mean, Jay? I used to love The Fall. Marky Smith was my hero, right? And I used to pay €30 to go see Marky Smith because you'd never knew what was going to happen with this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and I speak to a lot of people lately, and I find what I'm missing with music is that kind of, I'm going to use a word here, but don't shit yourselves over insurance reasons, but someone who's a liability, do you know what I mean? Someone that you don't know what's going to happen. I miss that excitement in music, so you never really know what's going to happen at these Meryl Streek gigs, you know? Like, it just is what it is. So the main stage to me is very exciting.
Amazing.
You know?
Yeah, I can't wait, mate. It's going to be great.
It will be great. Well, we opened up the group, the Facebook group we've got, to questions. I mean, the interaction's fucking fantastic, but you can go to a group like that does have that fan base from the studenty side of 2000 Trees to the grindcore fans of Damnation and everything with the beard stroking and Art Tangent in between. And so many people being like responsive to it. I'm like, we want to know. So, are you happy to go to questions, James?
Yep, let's do it.
Well, we'll get started. Okay. So let's start. James picked these in his order, so this is his one. Let's start with an awkward one from Matt Buckley. Which festival are you looking forward to playing the most?
Ah, for fuck's sake. Oh, what are we supposed to say here, lads, eh?
Let's tell the big bastard the truth. Damnation's going to be amazing, but you'll do his as well.
Look, Damnation's is going to be... I'm looking forward to Damnation Festival because it's the end of the year. It's a big one in my sight, but I love 2000 Trees, lads. I really do. And especially as well where I get to play... Like, Lada Spew, for example, are one of my favourites, do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of bands at that festival that I really just can't wait to be in the presence of. So I'm going to say Trees on this one, Gav, but I'm also going to say Damnation just so we can keep this sweet, you know? And I'm not even blowing smoke up your arse. I'm genuinely looking forward to all of them, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be. You know what I want it because the live show with you is I find it quite an odd one because I've seen you twice now, and the one in King Tut's was more of the example I'd say where you've got I don't know how many 100, 150 people in there that are all there just for you and your music. And then when if you're doing a song about Terence or doing the Starlight. It's an odd one because you get to the end that you don't necessarily want to clap about you're telling us about some tragedy.
Celebrating about corruption, like
people have lost their lives, or
yeah,
you're a bit like so you get to the end and you're a bit like, so it's quite because you've got a lot of energy about it, but in the crowd you're a bit like I'm not quite sure what to do here because it feels inappropriate to be jumping about and clapping.
But that's
so
yeah.
How do you what I want at Damnation? I want a fucking mosh pit at Damnation.
Yeah.
I want to go bonkers. But at the same time, when I saw that at King Tut's, I felt awkward. Like here's a song about all these people lost their lives. Now clap. And I was a bit like, is that what we're supposed to do?
Well, it's a weird one, Gav. It can go either way. Like people can get really into it, and I've had mosh pits. You know what I mean? But and that's kind of mad without a drummer, man, that I can get to that level and get people riled up. But people genuinely just get really pissed off, and it hits them in. You know what I mean? Again, going back to this, like hitting people's nerves. So you don't really know what's going to happen, man, depending. But Glasgow's always a good night for that. You know, the Scottish seem to really resonate with Meryl Streek. You know, so yeah, we'll see. And again, with the little surprises that are coming up ahead, I think things are going to change drastically in that form. You know.
I mean, so I was interested to know. You talk about the three festivals. Like musically, or like what you've talked about some classic bands, like Melvins and The Fall and Pill. What do you listen to? A lot of like new modern music. Is it the case that one or more of the festivals would be more sort of the sort of thing you would normally listen to? I mean, are you listening to punk or what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think 2003, James, would bring me back to all the bands that I listened to a few years back that I still really love. Like, again, going back to La Dispute and Alexis on Fire, I love all those bands, you know. But I think for me, man, I obviously lived 8 years in Canada, so I still listen to a lot of kind of American kind of hardcore punks like Gag. Gag are one of my favourite bands, GAG. And the simple thing about Gag is they were just in the same fucking... I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes it's the generic hardcore riffs, but your man just had this slight delay on his vocal that made them kind of in their own category. And I love Gel, I love Skell. I listen to a lot of that stuff, you know, the kind of underground. And another band called Glue. Sounds like I'm making these names up, but I listen to a lot of that stuff, you know, with a little... But man, I listen to mad stuff. I listen to really happy, like... There's a band called Book of Love from the 80s. They're like a female synth group. I listen to that shit. Like, I listen to elevator music in my ears. And that's what helps me create Meryl Streek. I want this boppy, like... just fucking, I don't know, it's hard to describe, you know what I mean? I listen to a lot of weird music, man. I listen to Enya as well, you know what I mean? So that will put it into play.
Also, which
kind of
kind of leads me on nicely to my next question, because I was listening to another podcast, I think it was Calculating Infinite T's, where you were interviewed, and you were talking about your songwriting process, which is quite an unusual songwriting process. So we wouldn't, again, as Gav said, we wouldn't normally cover that sort of stuff on here, but would you mind just, I think it would be interesting to the listeners to explain how you write songs?
Yeah, well, basically, guys, I'd make beats through Ableton, and as mad as it is, a lot of the sub bass that you hear is played on this Windows keyboard, and I'll basically make the bones, the structure of a song, and then I'll send it to my friends. Like, I have an amazing guitar player called Phil Weir, who's in Ireland. I'll send it to like Oliver from A Place to Bury Strangers, Andy from Therapy. Hopefully in the next while I'll get on board, but I'll just send it to people, and I'll stupidly just send them a voice note going, try replicate this, da 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 da, and they'll send it back, and I just work on that from a box bedroom essentially. And this is coming from 15 years being a touring drummer, where I eventually was looking at Sleaford mods and I was like, here, fuck this, man, I've been doing this all wrong, you know what I mean? With the cost of living and the cost of touring, it's unfortunate, you know, but something like this, it makes it suitable and it makes it ideal. Not many people will agree with the way I do it, but that's just the way it is.
Okay, amazing. Sorry, I can't just mention Andy from Therapy and then just move on. not when you talk, not when you're talking to me. So give me a little bit more about what's the plan there.
Well, 796 came out. Andy shared on Therapy's Facebook page of him holding 796 up, and I was just floored, because Therapy, aren't they? Like, I was just mad. And then at Bearded Theory, I chatted to him a little bit, and I think I sent his son a couple of t-shirts. And then at Bearded Theory, I went over to say hello to him, and they brought me over in the buggy to the stage they were playing, and I just got to hang out with Andy, and we had a really nice chat. And then that night he gave me a really, really nice shout out on stage, and the whole tent erupted screaming, and it was just one of those things. But he's just a supporter of bands. He likes band, and he's very dedicated, James. So I've touched base with him before, and I'm going to touch base with him again soon, about just playing some riffs or something on a song, you know, because I like collecting these little kind of treasures as I'm going, you know. So some of my favourite artists I'll definitely ask just to, you know, help out with the process.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay. And just to tag on to that songwriting process, when you've got your, especially in 796, that run of tracks like Demon, No Justice and Suicide, are those personal stories to you, or is that just Irish culture where you've sort of put into a tale?
Personal stories to me, man. They're all everything on 796 and Songs for the Deceased. They're basically true. Yeah, they're all stories about people. Whether it's a barfly in the local area to a kid being murdered 10 minutes away from my house, they're all very real and very central to my life.
No one of them was in fucking tears. I mean,
well,
like...
no Justice was a real case, man. Yeah, and I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that happen one morning. You know, so that was.
So when you say I just wanted to walk my dog, do you mean you just wanted to walk your dog?
I was walking
when that kid was murdered.
I was walking my dog when it happened.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, but that's what I meant. Is that because, I mean, obviously a lot of people take the tragedies that other people have experienced and then put it through in their own words.
No, I flew in from Canada, and I was just visiting home for a couple of days, a week or whatever, and the first thing I done was come from the airport, get me dog, and then that's the first thing I saw, you know. About 10 minutes from the gaff, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell. Sorry to hear that. Well, okay. None for that then. I think you've answered this Tom Redsman questions a wee bit, but let's do it a bit more justice then. He's asking about the trepidation of performing something like Damnation, which is pretty fucking unique. You can't have done many shows, if any, that are going to be, well, like, I don't know, Pig Destroyer, for example. I mean, proper niche, extreme grindcore bands flying in from America for exclusive. So, I mean, for artists, we have artists, post-rock bands, and rock bands that go, I don't really want to do Damnation, it's a metal festival, even though we have plenty of lots softer than you'll go down absolutely fine. But what's your feelings when you look at it like, fuck it, let's just see how it goes?
Yeah, see how it goes, Gav. Like, I played in Athens there with GBH last month, and then I was in Poland 2 weeks ago playing with a lot of these crust punk grindcore bands, you know what I mean? But again, Gav, it's like having me in the middle of these bands. I get a little bit anxious when I'm in those situations, but again, people, if people aren't into it, they're not into it. That's fine. I understand that. But the people that are get something from it, no matter what they're into. Do you know what I mean? They could be massive grindcore heads, or they could be into pop music. But I think everyone gets something from that set. You know, even if it's only a line, they can relate to it in a certain way. You know, so I get a bit anxious, man. But again, going back to just, I like doing it. I like the challenge of it. You know.
Yeah, I mean that stage. To be fair, I mean you probably play in between like crippling alcoholism that are like a fucking synthy band from America, and then EF are going to be a sort of post-rocky, like going away and fucking enjoy your daydream.
Yeah.
If it's reading, so I think people who go to that, I'm right in saying that, James. The people who go to that third stage know what they're doing. You're not accidentally just stumbling into Meryl
absolutely.
Streek.
You know. Can I tell you?
No, you
sorry,
go.
sorry, James. I DJ'd in Vancouver years ago, and I DJ'd with the bass player at the time at Deaf Heaven, and I still have this hilarious moment where I was outside smoking a cigarette, and this guy was getting robbed, right? He was getting robbed with a knife, and this guy from Deaf Heaven, man, was about fucking 10 times the size of me. The guy was a giant, and I was going to intervene, obviously, you know, and then this guy, I turned around, and he had just vanished. It was like... gone. So he left me to pick up the fucking pieces of this situation. So I'm hoping he's at Damnation. Fucking prick.
Yes.
Been waiting 7 years for this opportunity.
And you, Meryl, are you under like the Dublin airport flight path or something? I just hear these planes that keep fucking going overhead.
Do you
Is
really?
that you?
Yeah, I am on the flight path. But are you actually picking that up?
Aye, see, this is top quality production here.
They're all the jokes just gone over my head. That's what it is.
What else you got from James?
So, Gav, I don't know if we're giving away state secrets here, but you kind of alluded to the other day that you two had been chatting about the live show. So, I don't know anything about this. So, Scott Bamford asked the question, which was, what's the plan for adding live musicians to the sound on the stage, and what is the difference in approach to playing bigger festivals versus smaller clubs? So, I mean, I don't want you to tell us anything you're not in the position to say, obviously, but is there I mean, it must be annoying that people assume you need more musicians, because you've got a brilliant show.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it at Trees. It was a brilliant show. I didn't come away from there thinking, why isn't there a drummer at all? But is that a thing that you're thinking about?
Yeah, it's really annoying, man, and it has me snapping at people at the merch stand now, and they're coming up, like, you'll get some lad who waltzes up with a cardigan wrapped around his neck, and he's like, have you ever thought about adding a live drummer? And I'm like, oh no, actually, I've never fucking thought about that, man. It's unbelievable, you know what I mean? But I'm finding myself being mentally kind of drained by it at this point, because it's toying with me, because lads, I've come so far without one, and then I'm like, I understand the change would be good, but at the same time, I don't want to lose the freedom of what I have now, because 15 years touring with bands, I fucking hate people, and I just want my own space. And that's the premise with Meryl Streek, that I could just be my own person and I make my own decisions. But if Scott wants an answer to that question, then Scott will have to sit patiently for a little bit longer. I'm not going to say yes or no, but there might be a surprise in the very near future.
It's funny you say that to James as well, because I was one of those people, although done it in the right context, but it was like, hi Gav, how's things going on, but this is the future for Meryl Streek. And I'm like, you know, I know this is one of the ones when somebody tries to tell you how to promote Damnation better, and you're like, fuck off, I'm the one selling the tickets. I was just like, I've seen you twice now, and the only thing I said about it is not that, oh, you need this for the stage presence, or you need this for the show. I felt that it's quite restrictive, and I'm not an artist, I'm just giving my opinion. It's quite restrictive when, if Meryl wants to fucking turn it up a notch, or if he wants to turn it down a notch, if it's a particular fucking angry set, if it's a bit laid back set, every time it's just one solid backing track. He's kind of stuck to exact, so there's no real opportunity to embrace whatever moment's happening. And that was kind of more my point than you need a drummer on stage or a guitarist on stage to fill this out. Plus, you see some of these bands that have made it to the big time, your Bob Villans and Sleaford Mods, there's a bit more going on as well, so I don't know if that's a success route that was needed, or they just struck it lucky. So as he's saying that, I was definitely one of the people at the merch stand with a cardigan going, by the way, mate, you ever heard a guitarist?
Well, no, Pill was the worst, lads. Absolutely. Like, there was actually a night in Pill where some guy from the BBC tagged me. This is fucking gas. He tagged me just when I went off stage on Instagram saying, whatever, mediocre show, and the lad's playing with a flashlight. I can't make sense of it, but he said something a little bit more kind of heated, and then I actually had a go at him, the stories, and I was like, well, stay right there, man, I'll be out to you in a second. So I came out into the crowd. This guy had deleted the story and fucking vanished out of the venue, you know what I mean? But it was like, again, going back to winding people up, lads, I'm used to it by now, you know, I'm ready for all the questions at this stage, because I've already had
I mean,
I've had them all.
it is an unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
If you're any of the three of us, actually, if you're in a band or you run a festival or you do a podcast, people feel that they're able to give you opinion about what you do as your livelihood,
Absolutely.
where they wouldn't do it if you're a computer scientist or even really a doctor. It's just like
Well, James, they wouldn't do it to your face either. Do you know what I mean? It's this fucking modern age of these L lads sitting at home thinking that you give a shit about their opinion. You either watch the video or you don't. Do you know what I mean? It's quite simple. You know, it's like I'm content in what I'm doing and it's working. You know what I mean? It's not having me work a desk job. So at least someone is winning in this story. You know, you either like it or you don't. And it's same with you guys. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, are you looking at, so in terms of this year, is this a big one for you? What else has got, what's planned? You got these three shows, you have the rest of the whatever tour dates you've got. Is there new music on the horizon also?
Yeah, I'm finishing, that's why I'm so wrecked today, lads. I was up until about 5 this morning finishing off new songs. I have a third album there ready to go, and I hated the last album. I thought the last album was shit. So when it came out and I started seeing the reviews, I was like, oh fuck, maybe it's actually not. So this third album, I will safely say that it's the one that I'm actually happy with the most at the moment. So and it's more of the same, but I think it's a little bit different in a few ways. But I've got OCD, lads, so I used to hate when like bands would change their image and all that when I was growing up, you know, and like I don't really want to do that. I don't want to change it too much, you know. I want to stay true to what it is and, you know, where it's going.
Yeah, in terms of that, because we were out on tour with our tour manager Tom Begley, and he said it was his mate, a guy who was maybe for Sheffield, that does your artwork. Is that true? Or maybe he's for Sheffield and he knew the guy who'd done your artwork anyway, but is that the same guy for both? Like, you know, it's almost that tear out on a jotter type artwork. It's really quite striking.
So there was a girl. Was Tom tour managing for Pill? I think that's who Tom. The only Tom I remember.
No, this guy.
Okay.
No, I've just completely fucking mixed this whole story up. But just tell me about the artwork then. Fuck that story, tell me about the artwork.
Well, I always try help kind of independent artists with this as well, man. You know, like I'm working with a little producer here. She's 17. She's doing a remix of her favourite song, Counting Sheep. So I always try kind of pass out a few jobs to people that, you know, maybe we'll just knock them up a notch and with press and stuff. So my mate Roisin Nolan did the first artwork, and she went in and bought a load of these Catholic books from a charity shop in Dublin, and they were like 60s and 70s real books on the Catholic Church in Ireland. So a lot of that was kind of taken from those books. And then Melville the Third is a political artist from Sheffield, and he done the second album cover, Songs for the Deceased. And same again, he does political motivated art. The Kneecap t-shirt you have there is a friend of his, you know, so they all kind of do that kind of, you know, anti-society art, yeah.
Do you know what? I should remember, James, before I started that story, how much shite
That's
Tom
all
Begley
I was
talks.
thinking. For the last 5 minutes, all I've been thinking is Tom's told you a load of bollocks, and you've just brought it onto the podcast.
I swear to God, we're in tour with this guy, and it was not one of the guys. If you've been to Tenerife, he's been to Elevenerife. It's just like he's always got that story. One more, and as soon as I said, I was like, fuck, I never actually checked if that was true or not. If he just told me, oh, that's my mate that does Meryl Streek's artwork, and I'm believing it like a fucking.
Gav, I might have to steal that line from you. If he's been to Tenerife, I've been to Elevenerife. That's fucking brilliant.
Oh, fucking absolutely. Anyway, back to people telling the truth. Stephen Fuller, he's asking if you had if time permits and you were able to go and see a band at each of these festivals, our festivals, Damnation, Art Tangent, and Trees, what would you recommend? Sounds like you're really spot on with some of the bands for Trees, but what else would you recommend bands check out?
I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing Death Heaven. I love them, and I love the way. Another thing, they kind of went in a different direction from the generic kind of scene, and I really like them. I've never gotten to see them live, but I do have that story about that guy, so I'm really looking forward to seeing Death Heaven. At Trees, I think Bruise Control are at Trees. The Meths, who I just got off tour with, which are just the loveliest duo ever. Who else? La Dispute, of course, I'm dying to see. But again, lads, I'm only there for the one day, so I don't want to depress myself. Do you know what I mean? That I can't see all these bands because I'm fucking gutted over it, you know? But Alexa's on Fire as well, man. I have a lot of ties to that band, and I'm playing with them in Dublin and Belfast as well before Trees, which I'm really excited about, you know. And you caught me off guard. I can't really think of the fucking lineup now.
So you'll be in
who else is at it?
you'll be there for Wednesday night at Trees, and then Thursday morning, and then
Wednesday, Thursday, yeah, Friday I go to Serbia. I'm playing that Exit Festival, which is
Awesome.
going to be exciting. I'm playing the same day as the Boomtown Rats, the Prodigy, and fucking Tiesto, fucking Tiesto. And I'm actually mad. They have me like up the lineup. Do you know what I mean? Which is actually quite worrying, you know. So yeah, I'll be going to Serbia then to fucking give a few people nightmares again.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of you do the track industry, which is very much you're taking a sort of boy band situation, a girl band situation,
Yeah.
where you've just got people, nepo babies, and people in the industry helping each other out and fucking getting what they want and using them as cash cows. How is that now that you're in this part? Except James's story earlier is a weird one. We're seeing you for the first time. Your record label boss is there. The guy who does the press for Trees and has been shouting for you is there. You get two promoters who I assume, given you're on this podcast and not getting the abuse, that you've got enough respect for to go and do their festivals. So is there a part of that you're a bit like, you know what, there is a decent side to this industry as well as the fucking vampires?
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky, Gav, to kind of, you know, not get sucked into any major labels and stuff with this, but also as well, who is going to sign someone that's poking the bear? Do you know what I mean? It's quite a hard thing to sell to a major label, but I'm happy I'm not working with anyone like that, because it's the stories I've heard over the last 15 odd years, man, is some of them are just frightening, you know. So I was lucky enough to meet Lags, and Lags kind of, well, me and him, like, Lags is definitely a vital project to this, because it's kind of, you know, I presented him the product and we've been working on it ever since, and we've been opening up doors and meeting new people. But the team is small and people are dedicated. They love their music, they love their tunes, and they love the message. And also they kind of get a kick out of this as well, that when we send the music around, man, when we were sending Death to the Landlord around, me and Lags were in stitches laughing, do you know what I mean, going, this is mental. If anyone plays this is fucking mental. Do you know what I mean? So we're also getting this bit of fun out of it. And only the people that can kind of see past the anger see the humour about it. Do you know what I mean, man? There was bands like Chumbawamba and stuff that were in the pop game, and they were also sending a very clear message. So that's kind of the same idea with this, that it's constantly trying to wind people up, man. And if they don't get it now, maybe in 10 years time they look back and go, well, man, that fucker was, you know, pretty mad to say some of these things. But that's just what it is, man. It's meant to be a little bit like that, you know?
You talked about musical collaborators before. Is there any of that with Lags at all? Because obviously he's a very well-respected songwriter, isn't he? Quite rightly.
So we did one, James, and because the song was kind of the way I wrote the kind of the banjo part basically that was in it. It was very weird for him to follow. So we tracked Lags on Songs for the Deceased, and then Oliver from A Place to Bury Strangers put something on it instead. So I have to circle back to Lags pretty quick, you know. But he's also just so busy, man, you know. But yeah, I'd like, man, James, if you had to tell me 10 years ago Lags from Gallows was going to play on my track, I'd be so excited. But I'm just so used to Lags now that he's a close friend that, yeah, we have to get it done, basically, is what I'm saying.
Amazing.
No, not yet.
Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, Lags is a man who is on it, because we only asked you, or I only asked you the start of this week or the tail end of last week if you come on and do this podcast, and then before we knew it, we had a discount code for James. Would you like to tell us what Lags sent us?
So Lags, as I said, Lags runs Venn Records, which is VENN. So he has got a Pod 15 code for both Meryl Streek albums on either vinyl or CD. So if you go to the Venn Records website in the next week, then you can get 15% off. So I would suggest you do that.
Yeah, and as I would like to hit the whole man up and say, I bought both those records as well. Okay, Lags, supporting the cause, mate. Supporting the fucking cause. And also, you're talking about the message. I mean, Irish artist out there making a name, but there is your buddies in Kneecap, Talk of the Town. Last couple of weeks, another band with a strong message. What's it feeling like? What's it feeling like in Ireland? We're hearing it all from America. We're hearing it all from the UK. What's it feeling like in Ireland about Kneecap?
I chatted to them about a week or two ago, very briefly, when it was all kind of kicking off, and I got a pretty nice message that just summed it up in kind of one sentence. It was like, people are just being exposed and being thrown the negative side of this right now, when there's actually such a big positive thing happening in the background as well. You know, like with the Palestine thing, man, they're literally quite literally making history that I'd imagine in, again, 10 years time we're going to look back on this and go, holy fuck. But it's just, I think when a band, like, they've been doing the same thing for 8 years now, lads, like, and it's only because now I think the bigger entities have realised that they have a bit of power behind them, that now they're being silenced a little bit. And for me, it's just so sad to see everyone jump on board with the, like, these lads are just fucking trying to kill politicians, when there's a bigger issue at hand that nobody really wants to talk about. So it's not surprising,
Okay, so you'd say that the support or lack of support, or people trying to say, is very similar to what you're seeing across the board. There's not like an island like they're one of us. Let's protect Kneecap and.
Well, I think you're always going to have your two sides, Gavin, especially with this going on in Ireland and the UK, with even like the far right and the left and stuff. You're always going to have different opinions on things. People in the far right, or people that own properties across the country, will always say Kneecap are messers. So you're always going to have a division. But I mean, for the most part, man. Well, look, you don't even need me to answer that, Gav. The lads are playing stadiums. Do you know what I mean? That speaks for itself, and they've worked hard.
Yeah, they're going to go down a fucking treat.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So you will you catch up with them at Trees? Do you think? Do you know them well enough for that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. They looked after me with that tour I done with them in the UK, and I foolishly gave up smoking and weed before that tour, so I was sober for that tour, and the lads weren't, But it was still one of those funny things where we still got it. Do you know what I mean? They, they're sound. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're one of the few Dubliners that I like, because it always was the term they've got for West England.
Yeah. Well, it was funny, man, when I was like checking out wherever I was staying or waking up on someone's sofa kind of thing, like I'd message them and they were only going home, do you know what I mean? And I was just like, I did that for 15 years, man, drinking straight whiskey and playing every night and having 30 beers in Berlin because they were all free. I'd done it, and I just can't ever do it again, man. It just nearly killed me, do you know what I mean? Like, well, I look at them lads and I just find them hilarious, I really do. But, well, look, it's working for them, and I think one of them is hitting the same age as me now, so I'm sure it'll tone down at some point.
Yeah. I mean, what age are you?
I'm 35.
Right, okay. Because you'd mentioned, you sent me. I'll talk about band Amen in a moment. But just when you sent me a voicemail saying about you hadn't caught Amen, I was wondering. Yeah. So one of the guys. I mean, you're one of the guys that could be. You could be 22 or 40. You've got one of the fucking faces. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell you. It's like, so 35 sounds about right. And the no drinking thing, because that's not like you against the world or any moral stance. Like, you just done it and it wasn't for you. Yeah,
I mean, like I was doing 4-week tours with an American band, Gav, and I'd come home to Canada and I'd go into the local for a pint after work, but then it'd be like, it just started with whiskey shots, you know what I mean? And especially if you have the accent over there, they just presume you drink straight Jameson for some fucking reason. I don't know what it is. So that became quite a habit, and I kind of came to a point where I was like, right, I've wasted 15 years and 60% of me hearing on bands that never got me anywhere, and I made the conscious decision that if I was going to do Meryl Streek, that I'd have to really throw all guns in blazing. So that's kind of the decision that I made, and I don't miss it, man. I'm a bit of a stoner. That does it for me, and I do miss it. I miss the sessions sometimes, but it's only the stupid things I miss, really.
Mate, you sound like my inner voice every Monday morning.
Yeah. your inner thoughts.
I'm about mate. Reach the point, mate. Get this to fuck, mate. You're broken.
I'll send you voice notes every Monday morning, Gav, just whispering, just giving you fucking a plan for up ahead.
And you're not. So I think someone fired in a question that didn't make this list. So what's in the rider then? Because usually, if you're in the rider, everyone wants to get as much booze as possible. But when you're not boozing, what you after?
The riders, I just asked for something healthy: snacks, sandwiches, nuts, and juice with a can of Coke. And then I asked the promoters and bookers to make a small donation to a homeless charity in the local area.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And you're not vegan, are you?
No, I'm not that bad.
See, if you were vegan, if it's not that bad, if you were vegan, you know who does vegan? Do you know who does vegan sausage, James?
Yeah.
Bruce, have you got a hot sauce tie-up? Have you got a collab yet?
Have I got what?
A collab for hot sauces?
No.
You got all these bands have all got the hot sauces?
No.
Do you want one?
I'd love one.
Right, okay.
I'd love one.
The man who's going to sort this out seriously, because he's done them for fucking Bring Me a
Did he do it for Bob Villain?
He done one for Bob Villain. He done one for who's his other huge band? That he done? He's fucking
U86.
Creeper.
I'd love that. Yeah, I'm all about that, man. I want to do I'm going to do a little live session in Dublin by the end of the year, like, and kind of invite 50 fans over, and I'm going to get like custom made cans of beer with Meryl on it, non-alcoholic of course, because I can't do the fucking real stuff, but stuff like that. I want to definitely kind of do little collabs like that, you know.
It's done. Sick. It's done. He's just finding out on this podcast, right? But
yeah. Well, that's me family's Christmas present sorted already, man. Brilliant.
Yes. Okay. Look, from Lose Brews, he will be the man to sort your collab. I will hook yous up after this pod, and then yous can do the damage from there. He tends to do you a couple of samples or whatever it is you like, get sent them across, you give it the thumbs up, and then he starts production.
Class.
And because he's a fucking superhero now and promoted through this podcast, he sells them all out. In fact, he always sells all his sauces out. So we'll just need to come up with a name. I know sauces for the deceased. I think someone fucking.
Oh man, that's brilliant. Yeah, okay, sorted.
There you go. I've even done that. All you need to do is send artwork and a thumbs up, and the deal's done. I'm not even looking for commission. anyone who would like to support Lose Brews, usual story, pod 15 losebrews.co.uk. Go there. Soon to have a Meryl Streek sauce on offer too.
Fantastic. Yes,
Making miracles happen, James.
I like
Making
it.
miracles happen.
I like it. Did we warn Meryl about on the record? Okay. Lovely.
You done fuck all.
Well done, so we're gonna do on the record now. So have you got a musical pick for us?
Oh shit, that was for now. Okay, yeah. What am I doing? Picking a song, is it?
Yeah, pick a song. Could be anything. You could be a fucking a well-known banger, or it could be a deep cut. As long as it's on Spotify, we can add it to the list, and then that goes in the playlist for. Well, I think there's a couple of thousand people listening to that currently, so gives every band that's on there a wee bit of a helpful bump as well. Do you want to go first, James? Meryl.
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. This could take a while anyway. So, Gav, try not to be a cunt there if you can. Oh, I didn't say that. I actually try not to use that. That's the only word I don't use on the podcast, but I have used it.
I hate using it, James, as well. It feels weird.
I use fucking softies.
Well, you're from fucking Glasgow. Would you stop?
Australians and Scottish people. It's just a term of endearment. It's a term of endearment. Anyway, I will not be.
My song is Reina Tormenta by the Mars Volta. So, new album came out. I was hugely underwhelmed for the first couple of weeks, and it has taken me some listening, many hours. My favourite band, so I had to go deep. And I've got two friends, Al and Miles, who are also in the same situation where it's their favourite band, and we've been chatting, and then slowly the albums, the sort of penny started to drop of what the band have even tried to do. And it's basically loads and loads of little songs. So that you've gone from a band having... See, Gav's got his I'm going to be a cunt face on at the moment.
No, I'm just about like, you ever like the band so much, Meryl, when they drop up your shiter, that you're still there, desperately trying to claw through the bones.
Absolutely.
To find anything to hold on to. But James, should never see this masterpiece. Go.
Instead of them previously doing like 12-minute songs, 30-minute songs, now they're doing like 1-minute songs and 2-minute songs, and the album works in this weird way where it's like one piece of music, and you've got a minute-long song. So if you put the song I'm going to put on the record is a minute long, and it's so catchy once you've heard it 20 times, you don't get a chance to realise that first time, because unlike, let's say, a song by Green Day, it doesn't go back to the chorus. It gives you the chorus and the hook once, and then it fucks off and does something else. And it does that 18 times throughout the album, so it's quite disorientating at first. The people that were saying there's nothing on this album and it's wallpaper music are wrong. Is this the best Mars Volta album ever? No. It's in the of the 8, it's in the bottom 3, definitely. It's not life-changing, it's not the best thing they've ever done, but it's really, really, really fucking good. Full of hooks, full of ideas. And yeah, I've been waiting to talk about it because it feels like it's a thing, and that was me being ready. so if Gav, if you've got anything to say, then yeah, feel free.
Mate, I can't wait to hear it. I'm fucking buzzing. At least I'll have one quote for the promo poster where you're saying it's really, really fucking good. Then one star
Yes,
for everyone
old Sam
else.
Law at Quran gave it an absolute kicking. Two stars,
Oh,
2 stars
Jesus.
in Quran, 2 Ks.
I mean,
Oh God, right.
it's impossible to get a bad album review, and he's like that new Machine Head album. I mean, even the quote was worse than the review, the how many stars it got for Metal Hammer. It was like, oh fuck, it's so bad to forget. It was something just generic. Oh, so many riffs, you'll get frightened. You'll need a heart monitor or something. You're like, fuck me, man. It actually sounds like a quote lifted straight from Rob Flynn's lyrics. So, aye. Anyway, Meryl, save us from this.
So there's a band from Pennsylvania that I really love, and again, they're kind of venturing out of the hardcore scene over that way, and they're called Pill Friends, and they're really, really good. They kind of have this unique kind of way of writing really fucking miserable, depressing songs to upbeat music. So Pill Friends, it's a song called Satan is My Monster, and it's really good. They're a band that have definitely, from what I can gather, kind of struggle with their own kind of issues, and they're constantly coming and going, but they have 2 albums that are incredibly decent and worth checking out. I don't think there was any label involved. I don't think everything's self-released, but they're just a band. Pill Friends, check them out.
Awesome.
Pill Friends.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Looking forward to that. And I will round it off with a Meryl Streek inspired choice of Amen's Mayday. Now, I hadn't thought about fucking Amen in forever. And absolutely forever, other than the sad passing Casey. I never really and then you found an old Damnation post or t-shirt that had been, and we had Amen play in 2007, and he sent me a voice note about it, and it got me thinking about like how fucking great that band were. They had brilliant tracks out of Coma America and CK Killer. The one that I liked the most was Mayday, because it was one of the most chaotic. I put a track on a couple of weeks back by the band, the French hardcore band Bird and Row, who are playing Trees, and I described at the time that I like it when an artist and a band, they kind of get to a climax point where they all seem to lose control of the vocals, the instruments, all just comes together. And there's a couple of times in Mayday where that happens, and I've always loved it. And I remember being young and getting chucked about the pit to this punk metal is how you is that how you describe punk metal? At the very start, when I was kind of exposed to all this music at the same time, I was getting people saying, for fans of like influenced by Offspring, I was like, I don't understand this at all. And now that I'm 20 odd years into that, during listening to this type of music, now I can hear all the punk influence in it.
Oh, completely. Like when
it started, it was just like I was getting that and Spineshank and Green Day and everything at the same time. I was like, fucking no understanding in the music. Whereas now it's like, fuck, if I'd known back then, I might have went in a slightly different direction with some of these bands and found more sort of punk metal bands at the time.
Well, I think that's what kind of made Amen quite unique, is that they were like, there's a famous photo of Casey Chaos at a Black Flag gig when he was like 13, and he's in front of Henry Rollins. I don't know if you ever saw that photo. It's black and white. It's really cool, you know. So that kid was brought up and raised by all these kind of punks in the LA scene and whatnot, you know, and that added to their influence and stuff. And the sheer energy and anger in those couple of fucking Amen records, man, were just next to none. And especially when they're coming up between Spineshank and Mudvayne and all that kind of shit, they were doing something so different, you know. That it was mad. And when he passed away, man, I was genuinely good, because I just kind of started re-listening to them again, and I think I appreciated it more now down the line, that these albums still stand the test of time, you know.
That is definitely something you'll hear when you hear this track. It is one of those ones that stand the test of time. I made that point, I can't remember which band I was talking about, but I was saying, like, when I went back and revisited Boy Hits Car and and Mudvayne, some of these ones I was a bit like, they didn't. I mean, I said that Spineshank were good for what they were at the time, Dry Kill Logic, good for what it was at the time, but I'm not going to go back now at 43 and listen to those albums. And there was a few people saying, oh, don't say that about Spineshank, so I'm glad you just stuck a knife in them.
Do you know the funny thing is, my mate called me up there last month, and he was like, do you want to come see Drowning Pool and Spineshank with me? And I went, absolutely not, like. And he was like, well, go on, I'll get you a ticket. So I'm going to this fucking gig now in Dublin at the end of the year, you know. And he was banging on about how the tickets were only 35 quid. I was like, yeah, well, that's still 35 quid, John, do you know what I mean? Like, so
it's fucking expensive.
Yeah. But no, I did like that Spineshank album when it came out, and I loved when Dig dropped by Mudvayne. I thought the video and the makeup and the prosthetics was just so fucking great. You know what I mean? I'm all about that as well. It's not just the music of the band; it's the package, you know, and what they kind of add as the creative thoughts, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I appreciate your honesty throughout that. And if there's anything else, James or yourself, Meryl, have to add, now is the time before we say
Well,
our merry
the only
farewells
thing I'd
till
say is let's
Christmas
just make sure we. It's a bit chaotic, the festivals, but let's make sure we say hi. Let's actually let's see each other. We'll grab a coffee, or there's some very nice non-alcoholic beers at 2000 Trees. So yeah, let's do
Perfect.
it.
And I just want to say thanks for booking me, thanks for having me on, lads, and anyone listening that supports me or my music or my message, thank you. And even if you hate it, I thank you too.
On that note, we will see you all next week. Meryl, see you in a field in Upcote Farm.
Nice one, lads. Thanks so much and have a good weekend,
Cheers.
yeah?